So as a builder in Lagos, you're building your estate or your personal house, or you're just having a construction on site. The materials you're using on that site is not dependent on how much you have. Rather, it's dependent on the materials that have been certified by the Lagos State Material Testing Laboratory. These people test your materials all the way down to concrete, cement, slabs that you're going to use, even the metal wires. Now they need to make sure that you're not using an inferior product. If you refuse to call these people, your site is likely going to be sealed and you will be sanctioned. Now, why are they special? This material testing laboratory test your materials, not just only for safety reasons or to collect money from you before they give you your results, but to make sure that your building is going to be strong and you are not going to have any problem with demolition or any problem with collapsing. They perform different kinds of tests on these materials. There is one that is called non-destructive test. That is where the building is already completed and then they come to check the structural integrity of the building. That's post-construction. That's the non-destructive test. Then we'll talk about the destructive test, where the building is yet to happen. So you bring in samples of the materials intended to use in that construction and they test it in their laboratory and hand you the results over. Now, they also involved in geotechnical tests like soil tests, checking the soil on the site to determine, whether you should use this kind of foundation or that kind of foundation, either you're going to do piling or not. And then last but not the least, they do tests that is called material testing, which is the one that we are familiar with. Now, material testing, you're going to submit your concrete, your building, your metal rods, every material you're using to build that house or that particular construction. Now, you can also talk about the cube test. I'm not an engineer, I don't know these things in depth, but I've seen where they are doing them. Now, the cube test is where you pour in your concrete, to a particular cube shape, you cure it, and then you take it to the lab for the test. They try to destroy it, and then they will determine whether you're using a good cement or a good concrete for work or not. So this particular agency is very important, even more important than a lot of agencies, because if you're not building with standardized material, then it means that you don't want your building to last. That's why in Lagos here, you can hear that somebody's building fell halfway, or inside the house, the POP is collapsing on somebody, or there are cracks on the wall, or water is coming up on the wall, all those kind of things. So this is an important step that cannot be missed. Now you can find them physically at the Lagos State Public Works Commission. See you on the next one.